Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your listening and viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can address careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And that is the reason that we are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you will save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the gift segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast and all our activities, we thank all of you for your support and for your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. And for those of you that use the QR code and the link provided on Facebook and YouTube, I got to tell you, this technology is fast moving and it is a blessing and sometimes a curse. But thank all of you for all that you continue doing and for your continued support. So we're going to remind all of our listeners and viewers, we're in the midst of a FijiWater.com sponsored promo. For all of our listeners and viewers, if you go to our internet radio station, WKAPfaith.com, the first three songs you hear at 12 noon or at 6 p.m., list those three songs with your name, along with your name and your email address, and text them to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers will be selected to receive a case of Fiji water. You will win a case of Fiji water from FijiWater.com, Earth's finest water from FijiWater.com. Now, having said that, this is for all of our U.S. listeners and viewers. We will be doing something later with our international listeners and viewers because, pardon me, we are live, so I'm having a little issue with my allergies today. But having said that, we are going to be doing something later in the year for our international listeners and viewers, but for our U.S. listeners and viewers, we have this promo going on. We are having a good time. You all seem to be enjoying it, so I'm thankful for our sponsor, FijiWater.com, that we can connect with our listeners and viewers. So remember, 12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time or 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The first three songs you hear, text them along with your name and email address to the T-Mobile caller text line at 267-992-1424. One of our listeners and viewers for the month of May will win and receive a case of Fiji water from FijiWater.com. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, I just want to remind everyone, you asked for it, you got it. We will be going to a 1-hour broadcast. I will be announcing the date. We are getting a little closer, but I will be announcing the date that we will go live with our 1-hour broadcast. There's a lot being done for the production to get there, but you asked for it, you got it. So I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel you are on an island. It is difficult to trust anyone when so many people have let you down. They're on their own agenda. You want to know, how do you know when people have your best interest at heart? So let me, first of all, walk you through this. The problem is you haven't quite grasped the concept that it's lonely at the top. Let me tell you what I mean by that. You don't get to be on, and I'm referring to your communication, and I understand what you're dealing with. So I was prayerful about this. Let me tell you exactly what God has shown me about your life. You don't get to sit on the top of the mountain and not feel alone. Everyone can't climb the mountain. Everyone couldn't climb the mountain with you. You don't get to sit on the top of the mountain and not have that feeling of isolation. But the good news is you're never alone. God is with you. Now, I'm going to remind you of that because that's important, that you are reminded. See, people really don't understand that when they're trying to climb the mountain. So, of course, they have their own agenda. And let me tell you what that looks like. So, one of the things I enjoyed doing at one time in my life, I don't do it anymore. Probably should for some exercise, but I don't anymore. I love to rock climb. And not as much as I love horses, but I do enjoy rock climbing. And one of the things that you have to do when you're rock climbing, people don't understand this, is you have to have an agenda for that. And what I mean by that is you have to know where you're going to place your hands. You have to know where you're going to place your feet. You have to know at what rate you're going to climb. That's your agenda. But at some point in time, you get to the top of the mountain. I remember being on top of the mountain once, and we had gotten so high up on the mountain that people from below couldn't even tell who we were, couldn't identify who we were because we were up so high. The only thing they could do is take photos at that time. Maybe now there's some equipment that'll do that, but people didn't have that kind of equipment down on the ground. They could only identify us by the clothing that we had on when we started out. And so they could see us. Now, and when I say that, we weren't using any high-tech cameras or anything to that effect, but a simple picture, you couldn't really identify who we were, each of us, except for the clothes we were wearing. Now, I'm saying all of that to say, when people are trying to climb a mountain, they have an agenda. And until they get to the top of the mountain, and some people will never make it. So I remember climbing a mountain once, and someone fell off one side of the mountain, one face of the mountain. And I was on another face, but, let me rephrase that. I was on a different part of the face of the mountain, and they had to airlift them out. People fall off the mountain. They fall off the mountain because they don't pay attention, they get careless, they get comfortable. There's a lot of reasons that people can fall. And as Christians, we fall, but we get up. And then though we fall, we'll still get up. But having said that, I wanted to walk you through that to say you're never alone, because God is always with you. Now, I had other people climbing with me at the time, but you're never, even if you are climbing the mountain of life, you're climbing the corporate ladder, you're climbing to personally get to the mountaintop, and you reach the mountaintop. There's a scripture in the Bible that says Moses got to the top of the mountain, got to look over into the land that flows with milk and honey, the promised land, but he never got to enter in. But you're sitting on the top of the mountain right now of your life. I know that. I got it. I read it. I get it. And I understand that. You're sitting on the top of the mountain. And then here comes the enemy. And just as Christ was tempted, you get tempted by people who you think have your best interest at heart, who say to you, let me come up to the top of the mountain. Now, they didn't climb the mountain with you, but they want to come up. And what they ask you to do is to pull them up. And you've pulled some of them along with you. And you get to the mountaintop and you find out that they didn't really have your best interest at heart. You want to know, how do you trust them? You want to know, when do people really have your best interest at heart? And this takes me to the adage of, there's people that come into your life for a reason. There's people who come into your life for a season. And there's people that come into your life and they'll be there for a lifetime. Those people don't have their own agenda. All they want to do is make sure you don't fall off the top of the mountain. They want to make sure you don't stumble at the top of the mountain and fall. And if you do, they're going to come down off the mountain, pick you up, brush you off. They're going to climb with you again. There's people that when you fall from the top of the mountain, and you haven't fallen, but there's people that when you fall from the top of the mountain, they will look at you from the top of the mountain and they will stay right where they are. Because they've gotten to a higher place than they ever anticipated getting. But what I want to say to you is, you're never alone. And because you're never alone, you've got to know that as long as the Lord allows you to sit on the top of the mountain and look over into the promised land, you will always know that there is a promised land, that you know where you're going. The key is that once you've got to the top of the mountain, the key is to realize that that is your promised land. That's your promised land here on earth. You've already seen the land of milk and honey. Your promised land is for you, is to sit on the top of that mountain until the Lord calls you home. Because that's your final destination. Now, you just got to balance yourself on top of the mountain. And there'll be some people that you can pull up. And wherever God wants them on the mountain, that's where they'll be. If they make it to the top of the mountain, rejoice for them when they get there. You stay on the top of that mountain. Don't worry about, when people show you who they are, you know who they are. Don't worry about trying to determine who has your best interest, because people will show you if they have your best interest. Don't take it personal. Does it sting for a moment? Of course it does. But don't take it personal. Now you know who they are. Once you know who they are, you know who they are. And you can go right back to guiding people the way up the mountain. That's really your role right now, is to just guide other people up to the top of the mountain. Maybe now it's time to stop pulling people up the mountain and just tell them the way to go. And if they don't go, or if they go, let them receive what God has for them. But you stay on top of that mountain, because that's where God has called you to be. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you are not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992 1424. We will move you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. And this segment of the broadcast is brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. So if you are currently in the market for a high-performance automobile, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com, where you will have the opportunity to virtually build out the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area, you can go to PorscheDelaware.com. Ask to speak to Mike Didio, General Manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone assist you in selecting the vehicle you desire to own, the Porsche you desire to own. And if you're in our area and you currently own a Porsche and are just in need of service, go to PorscheDelaware.com, ask to speak to Mike Adams, Service Manager of PorscheDelaware.com. He will have someone schedule an appointment for you, pick up your vehicle for you, drop off your vehicle when your service has been completed, and they will provide you with the loaner vehicle during your service at PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you want to know why at age 31, when you have no desire to settle down yet with one man, you want to know why does everyone think that that's what you're supposed to do. So let me say this to you. The reason is because at age 31, people expect you to be an adult. However, if that's how you want to spend your time, is being unsettled and living life, you're really not living life. You're existing in life because you haven't settled into life. So let me tell you what that looks like for you. At 31, changes are starting to occur in your life. Your body's starting to change. Your appearance is starting to change. Professionally, things are changing, should be changing. Personally, you're not going to have the same friends that you've always had. You'll have a couple of few, but you're not always going to have the same ones because you're not at the same place you were at 22, 21. So you got to know that the reason the people around you expect you to settle in is because that's what adults do. We don't settle in life, but we settle for life. We settle to have peace, perfect peace. We settle into having families, enjoying our families. You still want to play. And if that's what you want to do, then do you. But you got to remember that you have not accomplished all that you could have accomplished from 21 to 31. Okay, you graduated from college at 21. You started your career. 10 years later, I'm not saying some good things haven't happened. What I'm saying is you haven't maximized your opportunities. So, and this will take me into another communication, but you got to remember, in life and in business, every deal is about the next deal. Everything you do is about what you're going to do next. Everything that you do on a daily basis is preparing tomorrow for the future. got to remember the past is the past. So the last 10 years, you've been doing whatever you want to do. And you've been having what you perceive to be fun. But you got to remember that what you don't like about your life today is a result of what you've been doing the last 10 years. And you still haven't come to the realization that it would be better to do something different now. So you're still in that space in your head that says, I want to have a good time, I want to play, I don't want to settle down with one man. That's going to require you to be an adult. And that's the expectation that people have for you. That's the expectation that people have of you. And you're just not willing to comply or conform. And I get it. In our society today, millennials don't want to comply or conform. Conform or comply. Let's do that. There are many of them who feel that way. And it's okay. But it doesn't mean you're going to maximize your opportunities. It doesn't mean you're going to maximize your potential. It does not mean you're going to maximize your success. So what I'm going to encourage you to do today is to make today the first day of the rest of your life. And I'm encouraging you not to make that a cliche. You got to decide today, can I be better if I settle into life? If I settle into doing the things necessary to maximize my opportunities, to maximize my potential, and to maximize my success. That's a decision that you have to make, and only you can make that decision. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at the retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need. And if you're not in any of those areas, you can shop at Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. So if you're in New York, stop in at the retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. And if you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And I am going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers. However, before I do that, this segment that is coming up is brought to you by Comcast Business. We all need to be more effective and efficient in business. Comcast Business will give you the opportunity to do that. Call Eunice at Comcast Business at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with the qualifying gig bundle. That's Eunice at Comcast Business, where you have the opportunity to be more effective and efficient in business. Call Eunice at 603-222-7706. Your code is Pastor Pope, and receive an $800 prepaid Visa gift card with a qualifying bundle. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that your children do not want to be involved in the family business. They don't want to take over the family business. You said it is difficult for you to plan for the future, knowing that you will not be leaving the business to them. So, listen, succession planning is a big deal. And the reason it's a big deal is because you've got to know that your labor, the fruit of your labor, is going to be taken over by your children. That's the goal for most families. I get it. And I'm someone who believes in legacy. I believe in, third and fourth generation carrying on what I term as the legacy of God, the family business. But that doesn't happen for everyone. So your succession plan might include, I remember seeing a bumper sticker once that someone had. I'm not advocating this, but someone once had a bumper sticker said that I'm spending my grandchildren's inheritance. Your succession plan might include you and your spouse doing some things that you desire to do and focus on some charitable giving. You can decide what you want to do from a charitable aspect, or you may have some philanthropic endeavors that you alone want to pursue, just you and your wife. Focus on those things, because one thing we know is that there's a segment of the business population whose children will follow in the footsteps of their parents. There is a segment of the population who will take on the mindset of business like their parents. And then there's a segment of the population that might want to become, in our day we call them hippies. They may just want to go their own way. So you've got three segments of the population, and the reason I like to use this analogy of God the Father, Christ the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You got three segments of the population who have a mindset that, from the business perspective, if the family has business, you've got one segment that says, I'm going to do exactly what my parents have done. I'm going to follow in their footsteps, and I'm going to carry on the family business for generations to come. Then you have a segment of the population that takes on the mindset of business. They may decide they just want to be involved in a different type of business, and that's what they're going to pursue, but they're going to pursue business because that's what their family is about. And then that other segment of the population just goes their own way. You've got to know who your children are. That's the reality of having children. You've got to know who they are. You've got to know you got to know their personality. You got to understand exactly who they are and what they're going to do. And then you can create a succession plan based on that. You can create a succession plan that says, okay, I'm going to set up trust that will allow me to contribute to my philanthropic endeavors without having my children be responsible. You may decide that some of it is just going to be based on, part of your succession plan is based on you and your wife doing some things with your children that will allow your family to create a strong bond, but they're not going to carry on the family business. That might be part of your succession plan. Because you know they have a mind for business, they're going to pursue business, but they're going to go into a different sector of business. That last group is part of that population that Solomon talked about when he said, you'll leave the work of your hands to the one who comes after you, not knowing if there'll be a wise man or a fool. And since Solomon was the wisest of kings, I take that to heart, because I know that he understood the nature of people, because he asked God for wisdom and understanding, that he may judge and rule his people. And God granted him his request. You have a responsibility of the business that you have started and the employees who work with you in your business. You have a responsibility to them. Continue on working diligently until you create a plan that is workable, that your company can either continue and you draw income from that, or that you sell the company to someone else who will carry it on. 3D, today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast has been brought to you by Fiji Water. The taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you will save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today.